Let's take a look at this question, which is similar to a question from the 2013 VCAR, and we're talking about transformations. And so what we've got is we've got a function, we've got a parabola, it's defined over this particular domain, and we're going to find a function g of x, which is the absolute of f of x plus 1. Then we need to apply some transformations. We're going to apply, basically we're going to shift 1 unit to the right, 1 unit up, and then dilate from the x-axis by a factor of a half. So for this first one, in terms of finding the image of g of x, for 2 marks, we do need to show some working out. So what we'll do is we'll break it down. So initially we'll look at the translation of 1 unit in the positive direction of the x-axis. So let's define g of x first. G of x will be the absolute of f of x. Take 1 off squared, take 2 absolute plus 1. So let's we'll do translation parallel to the x-axis, which means that our image, we've got to go 1 unit in the positive direction of the x-axis. So g of x will go to g of x take 1. So wherever I see x, it becomes x take 1, and here's my x. So this is going to become x take 2 all squared, take 2 plus 1. Next is translation parallel to the y-axis. And what's going to happen here is g of x will become g of x plus 1 on the outside. So this is going to become plus 2. And finally, dilation from the x-axis is a factor of a half. Which means that g of x goes to half outside of g of x. So this is half of absolute x take 2 all squared take 2 plus 1, because I need to multiply all terms by a half. And so this is my image. Now if I want to expand this and clean this up, I could. But what I want to do is I want to finish by saying that the image is equal to, and so we might as well do that. So I've got half. Inside here, I've got x squared, take 4x, plus 2, and plus 1. Now, the important thing, of course, is that I've called my image G1. You can call it anything you want pretty much, except for you can't call it g of x, because that was the original function, and you can't call it f of x. These were already defined as particular functions in our question, but we've then applied transformations, and so we have to call our image function something else. I've chosen G1, you could choose h of x, it's up to you, you just can't use f of x or g of x. Let's look at this last part of the question. It says, find the domain of the image of G after the sequence of transformations has been applied. Now, in this question, domain is, what are the possible x values? So initially the possible x values were -2 to 2. But what's happened is our graph has shifted 1 unit in the positive direction of the x-axis, so it's moved 1 unit to the right, if you like. consequently, our domain will also do the same thing. Think if our graph, it was here, and then it shifts over here. So the domain has moved 1 unit. So the new domain is from -1 to 3.